So if you're a slow pitch softball player and you want to hit more off the batting tee, and maybe you have a really crappy tee or you haven't bought a batting tee yet. So today I'm going to show you 3 different brands because I own all 3 of these. This is the GT, this is a Tanner tee, one of their original versions, and this is a Skills travel tee. Also, I do want to disclose that GT sent me this tee for free. I met them at a convention and I really like the product. So this is the one I've been wanting to use, and they're gracious enough to send me this for this video. But my thoughts on this are my own. So there's huge price point variation, but most of the models fall into basically kind of 2 categories: a base and a telescoping tube, like either the Tanner tee or this GT, or this tripod style base. So we'll cover a bunch of different factors in this video: price, what you get for the money, how versatile they are, the different types of attachments, durability, height, lots of different considerations in buying a slow pitch batting tee. Now let's talk about the base and the design. Most varieties of batting tees you'll see have this telescoping stem and the detachable base. So let me show you how these work. So the GT, this has a cotter pin. You slide it off, it's got holes. It's got holes in this stainless steel machined hub here. And then I'm just gonna put the cotter pin back in. Really easy, and it attaches. The Tanner tee, this one screws out and screws back into the base. Also very easy. The Skills tee, this tripod tee, and this is the case with most tripod tees, this does not separate from the base. You just expand it and contract it, which seems like, okay, that's nice for traveling with, but this actually doesn't get more compact at the end of the day than these other ones. So though this seems like a nice design, I'm actually not convinced that this is really more efficient. Like when they call this a travel tee, it's not really easier to travel than these, because you can separate these, put this in the main compartment of your bag, you know, the base, and then put this in your bat bag part, you know, like where the actual bats are. So I don't like the tripod tee design as much, and we'll go into that a little bit more, but that's the basics of the base and the stem. My recommendation is to go with the telescoping tube and this detachable base design. Whatever model, whatever brand, whatever price point you decide, go with one of this style rather than the tripod style. Another really important consideration is how stable the base is and if you can weight the base. Especially if you're a softball parent and you have a kid or 2 playing youth baseball or softball, so your whole family's gonna use this tee. Kids just whack these over all the time. And so these plastic bases are fine for someone like me who's just gonna hit the ball and just maybe make a little contact where I'm not gonna knock this over that much. But if your kid's whacking it down here, the tee's gonna go over. So most tees can take an Olympic plate and you can slide it straight down and it will weight it that way. Tanner tees do that. They sell a sandbag specifically designed for this. You can obviously use a weight plate. Even this Skills tee allows you to weight the base. So that's great. Now the GT has this hub on the back right here, this big knob, and that is specifically designed to hold an Olympic weight plate on the back, so that gives it extra stability when you hit it. Now there's other options. GT makes a row base, the triangular shape, it's heavy, it's got little edges like pointed, so it kind of digs into the dirt. Very expensive, but like that's what all the pro guys are using in their clubhouses. Tanner tee, they make a pro base, which is metal, but it's light. They also make a heavy base, which has a really unique kind of like foot design, and it's maybe like 10 or 15 pounds. With the Skills tee like this, you're just gonna have to weight it yourself. Now, if you buy a weighted base, you're stuck with the weighted base, which I don't prefer as much because I don't always wanna carry a 20-pound batting tee base. I used to have a Tanner tee heavy, and it's a great tee, but it's better for staying in one place. Like if you own a backyard batting cage, like it never travels. These ones are much, much lighter, and I can always bring the weight if I want or not bring the weight if I don't want. All right, now let's jump into height, because this is really important, especially for slow pitch, because the high tee drill is very important for helping you flatten out your swing, and you're just gonna make contact with a lot more balls at chest high, so tee height really matters. Now, the base design, let's cover that first, because the base design is important for getting extra height. So the GT is the tallest tee on the market. This is 53 inches. So this one's 53 inches. The Tanner tee is 43 inches. And this Skills tee, I think, is 44 inches. So you can see the height there. Now, if I'm hitting, this is pretty high. That's probably about the top. You know, I might make contact with one a little bit higher than that. But in general, this is kind of at the top of most people's strike zone. I'm 6 foot for reference. So if you wanted just a simple tee that you don't have to stand on a bucket, which is what I'm about to show you, this is the one to go with. It's obviously more expensive. This is made in America. It's machined. It's super high quality, but it's also more expensive. The Tanner tee is not going to get you the height unless you buy an extension tube, which I have. So this for $25 additional, you can extend this. So now with that Tanner T extension tube installed, it's an additional 25 bucks. So, and the other thing to know about the Tanner T is it's made of steel. So that that extension tube makes this considerably heavier, which could be a pro, could be a con if you're traveling with it. The GT is made of aluminum, so even though it has all this height, it's still quite light. I don't prefer to stack my tee on a bucket because it's gonna come crashing down every once in a while when I hit one. And it's just an extra thing to have to travel with. Like if I need height, I have to bring a bucket. I prefer to put my balls in bags. I just find it more convenient to carry them that way. So I'd rather have one standalone thing like the Tanner T with the extension tube, or the GT is my personal preference just because it's lighter and it's like one smaller package. But again, you want to get height as a slow pitch softball player. So this is the highest the skills tee is going to go, and let me show you why this is problematic. So regardless of what tee you buy, if it's the base, like the detachable base and the tube stem model, you can do this, which is obviously you've probably seen, which is very simple to get all the height you could ever really want. And you can rep, hold on, don't hit me. And you can rep everyone's favorite wholesale warehouse. I have no affiliation with Costco. I just bought a 3-pack of buckets for $9 from Costco. So if you want to hit balls over your head and work on, you know, your cut swing on balls that are just asinine to swing at, you can do this with a bucket and any one of these tees that has a flat base and the tube design. However, with the telescoping tee, this is not gonna work. Like it just doesn't have a flat spot. It's just not gonna happen. So that's a consideration. Like if you're a slow pitch player, this tee is just not, this design of tee is just not gonna make a lot of sense for you unless you like hitting slow pitches and you don't want anything above like that 44-inch height that this advertises. So if you're on a budget and you're gonna say, hey, I'd rather take the $3 bucket as my extension and get the less expensive, shorter model of the GT and save a couple bucks, or get the shorter model of the Tanner T and save a couple bucks, like this works for me, that's totally fine. Go for it, right? Again, this isn't my preference, but it really doesn't make a difference. As long as the tee is high enough and you're happy with it, then you're good to go. The other big factor in buying a batting tee is durability. This skills tee is fine. Like it's an okay thing, but for 80 bucks, which is what I paid for it, the metal is thinner, this thing is plastic, this thing is plastic, this thing is plastic. This will absolutely get destroyed by the little leaguer in your life. And if you hit this, if you're not as accurate, if you're a beginner and you're knocking this over a lot, expect this to be broken in under 2 years for sure. So just think about durability and how far you want your money to go when it comes to buying a batting tee for slow pitch, and especially for your whole family of ball players. I used to own a baseball academy and we had like 8 Tanner tees and they lasted and lasted and lasted. Kids would just blast them with their bats because we had kids from 8 years old all the way on up and they would mishit it and just smash them, and they held up really well. So you're gonna get a lot of durability with the Tanner tee. GT, exactly the same. These are really high quality, made in America. They're machined. They have a 2-year warranty. And both of these come with, you can buy replacement parts from GT or Tanner T, which is really nice. So if you say, hey, I'm gonna spend the extra money and get something that's durable, that's gonna last a long time, I can always replace the stem. I can always replace the inner tube or the outer tube or the cotter pin or the base or whatever. So that's a nice feature where if you're like one of those people like I am, where you'd rather buy something once and maybe repair it over time if it ever gets damaged, or just say, I'm gonna buy something nice and get 5 or 10 years out of it rather than buying something that's probably gonna break every year or two and have to replace it. I think that's a good investment personally, but everyone's different. The one thing I will say is if you're a family of ball players where, again, your son or daughter is using the same batting tee that you are, or you just want that to be the case, both Tanner and GT have different attachments that you can use the same base. So you could buy a shorty, a little baby one for your 7-year-old, and they could screw that one in here and you could have your tall one for you. Same thing with GT. I have a second attachment, so I'll show you. But with the GT, I have this little shorty stem and they have a bunch of different options here. It's got its own cotter pin, so I can easily attach this here. And so now we went from dad or mom's really tall tee to little Sally's tiny baby tee. So that's a nice feature where you can just have one for the family that's a high quality device, and you're gonna have it for the next 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and just repair it if it ever needs it, and just it'll grow with you, right? I think that makes sense considering one bat for one season is $500 now for your kids. So just consider, like, if you're buying something, do you want to buy it once for life, or do you want to buy it again and again over years when your kid eventually smashes it? Finally, let's talk about price. So Tanner tees start at about $100. If you get like the heavier base, they get more expensive. If you add the extension tube, $25 extra. These are really good tees. You can't go wrong if this is in your budget, like in the $100, $130 range. All right, let's talk about the GT. So this model, the 53 inch, is $189. So it's expensive, but I can tell you this is machined. It's got stainless steel parts. It's aluminum parts. They've got some patented parts. This is a really high quality and completely made in America product. So if you're looking for something, if you want to support American manufacturing and a small business, I've met them at a convention. They're good people. This is not on your budget. It's not on your budget. But if you have the extra money to spend, or you're a person like I am who wants to spend more for something that's going to be high quality, made in America, really durable, and you appreciate the craftsmanship, I think this is about as good as they get. And then this thing is $80, this Skills tee. And you'll be able to find batting tees all the way down to like 20 bucks. But again, you're probably gonna end up rebuying it in a year or 6 months when it breaks, because there's no replacement parts. There's a lot of plastic on this. This is gonna fail at some point, especially if you're a beginner and you knock it over a lot. The more times you knock it over, the more time that plastic is contacting the metal and things are rattling around, and the tolerances are just not as good at the manufacturing. But overall, there's a price point for everyone. So if you're just getting into the game, I don't necessarily recommend spending $100. I'd say try to find something middle of the road. But I do think the base and telescoping stem design is the way to go if you're buying one. I really would say stay away from these tripod tees, because you can't extend them with a bucket, and they just have more moving pieces, and I just think they're generally less durable and they're less elegant of a design. These are the only 3 tees that I own right now, besides the one that I mentioned that I never use, is basically broken. So there's a lot of different varieties out there. I know A-Tech makes a tee. There's a lot of different ones. And many of them will look very similar to these. And you'll say, well, this other one's $110, just the same. What do you think about that one? I have not used other ones than these 3. So as far as like what the other brands offer, I'm not sure. So you really just need to do your own diligence and your own research. Look at the materials. And really, I think cost is going to be the biggest thing. You get what you pay for. So if it's got a lot of plastic, if it's got a lot of like thinner, smaller moving parts, expect less durability. If it's more expensive, expect better quality, stainless steel, aluminum, better machining, better fit, better materials in general, better craftsmanship. It'll probably last a lot longer, and obviously look for a warranty as well. So those are my recommendations. If you have any other questions about batting tees for softball or otherwise, leave them in the comments below, and I'll see you here in the next video.